Hi everyone, Natu here again, back with another video. And in this one I'm going to make a quick video about, three main things that separate people, or it's three things that separate people who actually consummate and complete their transactions through to from beginning to the end, as opposed to those who never get anywhere. And so I guess the first three things, it's pretty unfortunate, but there are actually patterns and there are cause-effect relationships as to why, people who, prospects of raises.com, people who work in other companies, or no matter where you work or who you work with or for and whatever, people who work on raising capital for the purpose of, getting funding for the company or for mergers and acquisition purposes, why they aren't able to execute. And the reason why spans into three different reasons. One is, I guess the first one is typically, no signs of traction or no signs of revenue. You'll be very hard pressed, prior in several endeavors at different firms where I was selling securities directly and seeing everything, and looking at other people that get deals done versus those who don't. Broadly speaking, if you want to get a significant amount of capital, 8 figures or above, injected into your company, it's really hard if there's no traction or no revenue, especially. And so the number one predictor of, sadly, getting investors is showing that you have a proven concept. One example is, I was in a discussion with somebody, a European with a deal that they wanted to raise 100 million for, and then they were saying that, it's projected to create tens and hundreds of millions in revenue, blah, blah, blah. But then when you ask, they want to raise capital to be able to get a license, to be able to do some research, to be able to get another license that are needed to show that you actually have an asset and something to be, so basically you raise capital to show that you have something that can actually raise capital. And getting into this cycle, it's just better to just have something that is already generating cash, already has an asset in a small scale that can be scaled to in a big scale. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the quickest way to get capital. So that's one person. Another person is somebody who was looking at these revenue generating businesses, and they wanted to consummate a transaction just so they can acquire it. And that was the swiftest transaction, one of the swifter and larger ones we've seen. And so when you work with people in that regard, then you can get results real quickly. Next is having a focus, because I was once introduced to somebody with 3 different companies, all pre-revenue, being maintained at the same time, raising capital at the same time, 100, 200K, raising 200K, all pre-revenue, and kind of just looking at what would stick. And yeah, they were somewhat in the same niche. One wasn't. One was more consulting, one was more tech, and they were raising capital for marketing purposes to go out and be able to sell their company after the marketing they'll be able to make. So, and then I have on the other side another person that he has 1 to 2 million in yearly revenue. He's in the technology sector, and he was able to, work with us to consummate a transaction in a larger order. And because of this, he wanted to acquire 2 companies, but they were in the same niche and they had the same strategy. So the main difference is, one person had a focus, one person was more disorganized. Because the person who was more disorganized, the capital raises, he typically, quote unquote, diversification and working on many deals at the same time. Generally, that can work good. That can work well if you've already proven yourself with one company. But to have a bunch of pre-revenue companies where the effort is all divided and you're raising for all simultaneously, and this company was actually being sold to other broker dealers who actually wasn't able to get it closed because they promised him some magic, and that's the next point. That's part of the issue. But then the company that actually got funded, the person had a clear focus, and his entire career trajectory was on, this particular subsector of technology. And that's why he was able to get success. And there was a clear focus. He already had his own company he was operating, and he wanted to raise capital to acquire other companies. And it was a very clean process. The third one is, expecting magic and depending too much basically not having your reality, not having your external reality aligned with your internal reality. That's the third point. Because the prior person hasn't raised much capital, they've raised $0, and they depended completely on, despite not having the focus, despite not having the revenue, depended completely on a broker dealer to promise him like a shot in the, a Hail Mary, go public thing when the underlying asset had no value there. Whereas a second person, he's already seen seven figures and stuff, and he's already worked in this company for a while, and he's seen small transactions. So he just wanted to scale what he knew was possible at a small scale and a big scale, and scale up capital. We know other associates that, they've been in one sector for a very long period of time. One has been, for example, one member has been in granite contracting. He's been in that sector for a very long while, and then he saw some of the nuances there, and he knew that capital raising was possible at a larger scale. Another one in real estate syndication did some small deals, sub six figures, and he knew that capital raising was possible in a larger scale. Another person was got good assets under management, some real estate syndications, but they wanted to use more institutional relationships to be able to raise much more capital at a larger scale. And so these are the things that I'm talking about. Because the first person, the internal, like they don't really see a clear and predictable step-by-step pathway for them to take something from zero to raising capital. It's just like a magic broker does some unseen things. He thought he would be able to get there. To be honest, the broker just took the file, they guaranteed that they would fund it, and nothing happened, and he doesn't know why they didn't fund it. There was no granular feedback. And part of the reason why is, I'm paying somebody like $20,000 and then guaranteeing something, and then no service was rendered. These are the issues that come when you expect magic instead of cause effects and systematic things to happen. But in the latter examples, where you have people that, they've already been through the trenches, they've already seen seven figures in their business, they're just trying to scale to eight. These are the people that tend to raise capital much quicker because they're more confident, they're not scared, they just need extra confidence and extra relationships to get them to that new level. And so with this, those are broadly speaking, the three ways. The first is working with companies and assets with revenue to have traction. That's the quickest way to, elicit, equity or debt in an 8-figure tranche. So that's the first way. The second way is having a clear focus. So not just working on a bunch of companies that haven't seen anywhere. Elon Musk didn't split up into all these companies until after he had success with, PayPal, and then split from there. So have success with one before you go to the other. Just like how the members that are actually getting funded, they had success with one before they go to the next. And third, make sure that you believe you have some internal success before you look for external success. If you want to scale your capital raising, make sure that you understand how it works on the small scale before you jump to the large scale. Because if you just have some mining company in Sierra Leone and that doesn't have any revenue, and you want to raise capital to buy some licenses to prove that there's something in the ground when no one knows, then you're jumping the gun. But if you have something where it's like, you have 600K in revenue or 100K in revenue, you want to raise like 5 mil to be able to get to, 7 figures in revenue, things like that I've seen small success. Or you've raised, 6 figures for real estate syndications, and you want to raise 8 figures for for real estate syndications, then then you can see the possibilities at play, because you understand how you can go from something that is already working and just apply some accelerators to grow it, rather than something that has nothing and then you put gas on something that is not lit. You're not going to get any fire. And so with this, those are just some of the 3 different pieces that can separate the wheat from the chaff, and for people that actually want to consummate 8-figure transactions real quickly. And so I thank you for watching this video. If you want to learn more, head to raises.com. I thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next